Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. Today I'm here to talk to you about developmental key number 3, which is creative and flexible play. I have been going through a little series about things you should be watching out for as your child or your students are developing, and ways that you can recognize anywhere where your child may not be developing quite as you would expect or desire, and how you can support kids who need more support as they are developing. Sometimes skills take longer to emerge, and sometimes in certain kids they don't emerge in the same way that they would in other kids. For example, kids who have developmental delays sometimes have what we call splinter skills, which means that they may have development that is right about here in most areas, but all of a sudden there will be one skill up here that comes out of nowhere and seems to be at a much higher level, and in fact is at a much higher level. Sometimes those splinter skills can cause families to believe that their child is actually functioning at this level, when really it's only one or two skills that are up there and all of the rest are kind of down here. That is one of the reasons why I want to do a series like this, because if you do have a child who's experiencing any sort of developmental difficulty, as I keep mentioning over and over, it's really a good idea. It is the best idea. Please go get help sooner rather than waiting. Because if you are on the wrong road, it's easier to turn around sooner rather than later if you actually want to get where you're going. I don't want to continue along the wrong path if I know I'm going the wrong direction. I want to turn around and I want to take the right road. I want that for your kids too. So let's talk about play. What is play anyway? I have a lot of videos on play on this channel because I believe that play is one of the most valuable skills that a kid can have. I believe it's one of the most valuable activities in which a child can participate. Let's talk about some of the key things that we want to think about when we are discussing play. Number one is that play needs to be intrinsically motivated. I can't force a child into play. I can't present just the right toy and the kid will therefore interact with that toy and be playing. Playing needs to be from the inside. The child needs to be putting forth the interest in that activity. That is what makes it play. Sitting at a desk doing flashcards with a child is not play. Sitting on the floor, holding up trucks and asking the child to label which one is red and which one is blue is not play. Those are quizzes, and kids don't have fun doing quizzes. And it isn't called play. While we're on the topic of the word fun, let us talk about that as our next issue. Play must be fun. It must be fun for the child. Not, I define that activity as fun, therefore my child doing it is having fun, therefore my child is playing. The child must get enjoyment out of an activity if it is to be truly play. Play also needs to be flexible. If my child does the same exact sequence of actions every time he plays with a train set or every time she plays with her play people house, that's not play. That is a rote activity that may have some obsessive qualities about it, but it isn't play because it's not flexible. The example I usually use is of a little girl I worked with whose family told me that she was playing with her house for 6 or 8 hours at a time. Her playhouse, her dollhouse. And I was immediately concerned because no child of this child's age should have been doing anything for that amount of time, especially a solitary activity for that long. And it turned out that this child had some significant delays, and we had to work really hard to help her be more flexible. Because when a child is rigidly controlling her environment, and in this case she was arranging the people's knees and arranging their arms at just the right angle and their heads. She wasn't moving the people around, having them talk to each other, taking care of the baby, going to work in the car, taking the kids to school. She was arranging a tableau. She was creating a masterpiece in her own mind, but it was not play because it was rigid instead of flexible. Along that same line, play is spontaneous. It's not scripted. If your child repeats the same exact words every time the mommy talks to the daddy, and then they do the same thing, then that is also not play. That is a memorized script that the child may remember from a TV show or from an interaction you have in your family, but it's not play because it's not spontaneous. Spontaneously, when the people come into contact with each other, they should talk to each other. Spontaneously, when the car runs into the other car, there should be a conversation that takes place between those cars. And it shouldn't be the same conversation every time. Play is also representative, meaning that a block might stand in for a phone or a hat or a mustache, and a child who is cooking dinner with mom is not playing, but a child who's pretending to cook dinner with mom is playing because her stick and her drum serve for the spoon and the bowl. That is representative. Play is representative. And play is important because children learn through play. They practice all of their important skills during play activities. Social skills, communication skills, motor skills, cognitive skills, and all of these things together at the same time is more difficult than doing one of those skills at a time. So it's very important that kids have the opportunity to blend all of their skills and put them all together. Please make sure that when your child is receiving therapy, or when you are teaching your child, or when anyone else is working with your child, that it is in a play-based way, especially when they're very, very young. It is not okay to continually try to teach kids through quizzes and testing them all the time. Kids need to learn through play. They need to be the ones to choose the activity. They need to be the ones who show interest in something, and then we come in and we teach through whatever that activity may be. We don't have to be so forceful and aggressive when teaching kids. I can teach colors, I can teach words, I can teach counting through absolutely any activity that a child wants to do. Let's talk about some good signs that your child is playing appropriately or moving in the direction of playing appropriately. Number one, your child is going to laugh. Your child is enjoying the play that she's doing. Your child will also participate in lots of different play activities, not just Thomas the Tank Engine, but also a dollhouse and pretend cooking and pretend horses and all different kinds of play, not just one kind of play and not just one type of toy. It's a very good sign when pretend play is occurring. So the child pretends to be the daddy and puts the baby to bed, or the child pretends to be the teacher and teaches the cat some books or songs. That kind of play where the child is pretending to be someone else, usually someone in the child's life, then acts that out, that's a very good sign. And that's some very high level play happening right there too. I always love to see it when a child is making sounds and using words during play, especially if it's in relationship to other kids or other people the child is playing with. So if your child is saying, "Mommy, here's your tea," and giving you the tea, then that is a really good sign because she is adding together more than one skill to make play even more effective for helping her practice and learn. It's a good thing when a child uses one thing as more than one thing. Let me explain that for you. Let's say that your child has a teacup that she uses to drink tea, but she also puts it on her head as a hat. She also uses it as a phone and maybe as a microphone. She sits on it like it's a chair. She gives it to her baby like it's her baby's mitten. She uses this cup in lots of different ways. That is a very good sign because that shows the kind of flexibility that we want kids to have. We want kids to be brainstorming when a problem comes up. So if the train's bridge falls over, we want the child to say, "Oh no, my bridge fell down. I wonder what I can do. How will the trains fix it? Or will Sir Topham Hatt come along and fix it? Or do we have to call someone else with our little train telephone?" We want kids to be able to brainstorm and come up with lots of different solutions to a problem. We also like it when kids speak through the toys. So your child may be playing with a bear and the bear says, "You should tell your mommy that I'm hungry." And then the little girl says, "Mommy, my bear is hungry." That kind of thing is really cute, really fun, and very beneficial for kids. It shows flexibility and it shows a really good cognitive awareness of different people and that each one of them has different expectations and different preferences. It's a really good skill to have. Now that you've heard a little bit more about play and how healthy play typically looks, I'm going to ask you a few questions that you can answer to yourself to kind of find out if your kid is on the right track or your students are on the right track for healthy play and good development in this area. Number one, does my child look at me or other people to share excitement or amusement? So if something falls over, does your child look at that and then go, and look at you, surprised or amused? Does your child see the Jack in the Box pop out and say "Ah!" to you because he's excited to see that Jack in the Box pop out of the box? Again, even though he's seen it a million times, it's still cute, it's still funny, and he wants to share that excitement with you. That is an excellent sign. Does your child copy what you or other people do with toys? That is also a good sign because we have what are called mirror neurons in our brain. And a lot of times kids who have developmental delays don't have as healthy versions of those mirror neurons, and they need more practice learning how to copy what other people are doing, learning how to imitate what other people are doing. And so we need to be a lot more careful in being available and showing them how to do lots of different things. If your child is doing that, imitating you, that's great. Does your child play with a variety of toys, not just one toy? That one dinosaur is the only thing that he really likes. Does your child play with a toy in lots of different ways? The block is a phone, the block is a car, the block is a dinosaur. Lots of different plays. Lots of different ways to play with that one item. Does your child like, or at least tolerate, playing with other kids? That is a big one, of course, and it's more of a social issue than it is a play issue. But, of course, the best kind of play eventually is social play because it allows for adding another skill onto play, and that skill is the skill of social interaction and being able to engage with other peers. That's a really important skill. If your child is doing all of those things, then your child is developing well in this developmental area. If your child is not doing some of those things, and if you have any concerns for any other reason, I recommend that you talk to a professional just to rule out that there might be areas that need a little bit of extra support. I usually recommend a speech-language pathologist because we're the ones who usually work the most on play and early communication. If you are in the United States, you can contact your public school district if your child is 2 years, 9 months old or older, and they will provide you with a developmental screening. And then if your developmental screening shows that maybe there might be something, they will do a more complete evaluation, and they'll be able to tell you more then about how your child is comparing with other kids of her same age and areas that you might want to have looked at. And if your child qualifies from that evaluation, you'll be able to put him or her in a preschool program that will work on those goals with you, free of charge to you. because it's part of the public schools programs, and it's the law. And it's great because the earlier we intervene, the more improvements that we see, because young brains are just so flexible and wonderful and eager to learn that they really do learn very quickly. Please don't hesitate to leave questions down below if you have them, or to email if it's kind of more of a private thing. I'm really happy that you took the time to watch this video today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Have a good one. Bye.